right, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys are doing amazing. Welcome back to the podcast. It has been a hot minute since I've done these properly, and I'm really excited to really get back into these guys. It's something I'm really passionate about, and I hope you guys get some value from these. So I'm going to be going pretty deep into these the new style of podcast. I'm going to be going a lot, I guess, pretty raw or real as well. So I'm going to be, I guess, a little bit brutal with some of the stuff that I go through, which is always nice. And today I'm going through something that's really powerful. I'm going through something that I know will be able to help you guys if you really take on the content of today. So what we're going through is we're going through triggers. Why do things trigger you? So why does something trigger you, make you emotional, either highly positive or highly negative? And then how to become aware of that, and then how to take care of it, how to fix it, you guys know I don't like using the word fix in the term that there's anything wrong with being triggered, but to be in more control of your emotions so you can control whether you go really positive or really negative, and just stop you from having those really high highs and those really low lows. So let's get into it. There's a fair bit of content today. I'll be pretty quick, but guys, if you need to take pen and paper, please do so. So for the guys that are listening as well and not watching, I will share my screen at some point during the video just to show some diagrams. I'll do my best to describe what the diagrams look like, but obviously if you could see it, it'd be a bit easier, but it's not a make or break. I'm sure you guys will still get the value from it. So first things first, why do you get triggered? That's probably a great question to start with. Why do things trigger you? So the thing I start with when it comes to this is not everything triggers everyone. Everyone's different. And this comes back to something that, if you guys watch my content quite closely, I talk about this quite frequently, values. Now, everyone has a set of priorities in their life, things that are intrinsically valuable to them, and it comes from the voids or the perceived voids that you had when you were growing up. For example, if you were, say, bullied during school for being ugly or being fat or overweight or not being pretty or not being sexy or something when it comes to image, then there's chances are image would become a void for you in that because it's painful and therefore becomes a value for you later on in life. And values do change. that is a thing, but that the chances are quite high that image is going to be a high value of yours. So, and if you want to determine your values, by the way, guys, I have a free video on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel. It's called Determine Your Values on my Lewis Huxtep channel. Go do it. There's a free PDF to download it and go through it. If you want to go through values, that's not the video for today. But when you get clear on what your values are, that's when you can prioritize your life, be conscious of what inspires you, and just something that to help out on top of that, most of your insecurities, or pretty much all your insecurities, will be in the areas to which your values are. For example, say being a parent is very important to you. If someone was to come up to you and say you're a shit parent and the way you parent your son or your daughter has ruined their life and they're going to have a horrible future because of you, if you had a high value on parenting or being a great parent, then there's a high probability that is going to trigger you and cause high levels of emotion. So just be conscious that whatever your values are, whatever inspires you the most, whatever voids you had as a child or through your, I guess, adolescence period, then the chances are that those areas are the ones that you're going to be easier to be triggered in. So again, not all of them, but most of them. So anyways, I just want that to be clear. So secondly, the part that I would love to get you guys to understand, that there is no such thing as one side. People have fantasies. It's like people think that you're meant to be always positive, never negative, always happy, never nice, always caring, never taking. Like, you're meant to be absolutely one-sided, and all events have only one side. And for people, if I was to go up to you and tell you that about myself, and I say, I'm always nice, never mean, always caring, never taking, always positive, never negative. If I was to go up and tell you that, your intuition little meter would say, bullshit, that's not true, that's not right. Because everyone has times where they're mean, times where they're nice. People have times where they're honest. People have times when they lie. People have times where they're giving. They have times when they're taking. No one is ever one-sided. And it's like, you've probably heard this before. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. For every positive, there's a negative. The reality that we live in a world of duality, where there is always positives to negatives and there's always negatives to positives, is whenever you're triggered, and this is probably where I'm going to share my screen. I hope this comes through properly. So, hopefully you can see my screen, ladies and gentlemen. So, if for the guys that are viewing this right now, is that picture a pendulum. And there's a pendulum on one side is positive. If you swing, let's say to the right-hand side, it's really positive. Say you swing to the left-hand side, it's very negative. Say you're in the middle, that's balance. You see just as many positives, just as many negatives. Now, when you get triggered in the moment, it's because there's a couple of reasons. There's probably, I would first of all figure out where has that trigger come from. And like say, for example, someone calls you fat and ugly, and you were bullied as a kid in school about being fat and being ugly, I would go back to the moment where you were bullied for being fat and ugly, and I would find all the positives in that moment. And then most people say, well, there's no positives there. There are, you just haven't looked. Because there's always duality. There's always positives to negatives. There's always negatives to positive. And there's always balance. Now, the key is, hypothetically, if you're watching along with me on the screen, say for the guys listening, say you were really swung all the way up to the right-hand side. Say you were really positive. Picture a moment where you really looked up to someone, whether you had a crush on them, maybe they were an idol of yours, maybe they were a mentor of yours, maybe they were just someone that you found very, very sexually attractive, maybe you found them very smart and genius. You just looked up to them. Now, whenever you look up to someone, you pedestal them. So you go to one side and you can only see the positives and you can't see the negatives. You see all the upsides without the downsides. And by doing that, you have a lopsided perception. Because picture this, like say you lived in a world, like say you had to make a negotiation or a deal. And say you were negotiating or having an argument or having a discussion with someone. And say you could only see 50% of the data and information available. Are you going to have a lesser chance of, say, making a intelligent decision compared to the person that can see 100% of the information and data? The answer is obvious. You obviously want to be the person with the 100% of clarity. But whenever you're skewed to one side and your perception is lopsided, is you're only seeing 50%. You're only either seeing all the positives or vice versa, you're only seeing all the negatives. It's like when you beat yourself up. Say you're feeling really down, you're really, depressed, anxious, down, upset, sad, and you're beating yourself up. You're literally only seeing all the downsides. And that's why you feel shit. That's why you feel horrible. So what I like to teach people, and this obviously takes a little bit of time, and it's easier said than done if you're the person going through this experience and going through, quote, trauma or, pain or pleasure, whatever it is that you're going through. It's easier said than done. But the key is, and the questions to start asking yourself is, what am I not seeing right now? What are the positives, if you're feeling really negative, to what I'm not seeing? Or what are the negatives to the positives that I'm not seeing? And you want to start to condition yourself, and you want to start to change the way you view the world. Because who knows someone who's just, no matter what's going on, they're always fucking negative. It could be a beautiful day and it could be too beautiful a day, if that was a word. Like they've always found a way to find something negative because that's all they see. But we also know some people that are just always super positive. And when I say that, again, no one's ever one-sided, because I'm guarantee you those people who have who come across as really positive and really optimistic, I guarantee you they have moments when they're down. I guarantee they have moments when they doubt themselves. I guarantee you they have times where they're not as high energy as you see them, because people, human beings, the universe needs balance, needs correction, and needs things to be both-sided. You need the ability to see both sides, I should say. So where I'm going with this is, if something's triggering you, so say someone comes up to me. So for example, one of my top 3 values is learning, teaching, and wealth creation. So they're my top 3. If someone was to come up to me and say, Lewis, you're a shit business owner, the way you teach your team, the things you've learned and the things you've taught to your team, and your financial status or your financial situation is shit and terrible, and you're a horrible person, etc., etc. Say someone was trying to attack my values, that would give me a high chance of triggering me. So for me to be able to not get so, affected by a statement like that, It's to, first of all, breathe. So breathe and start to balance yourself out. Start to calm the nervous system down. And you want to start to become conscious of what you're not seeing. I would say something, and I know I don't always say this, but I do my best to do it. I'd say, thank you for the feedback. What do you mean specifically? How specifically am I a bad business owner? How specifically am I a bad teacher? How specifically am I a bad learner? How specifically am I bad at generating wealth? Because the question I would like to ask you guys, is there truth in everything? And I want you to think about what I just asked then. Is there truth in everything? I believe there is, because if there's a lesson there and you look for it, you're going to find it. So, is there truths? Can I be a better learner? Absolutely. Can I be a better teacher? Absolutely. Can I be better with my businesses? Absolutely. Can I be better with my wealth creation? Yes, I can. Absolutely. So, by only seeing one side, it just makes you vulnerable to be easily triggered by anything or anyone that attacks your life priorities or your life values. Now, this is going a little bit off track for this topic specifically, but while we're here, if for people that can see the screen, when you can learn to see both sides faster, let's use Hindsight. Hindsight is an incredible tool. Well, it's an incredible example, I should say. Everyone or most people has experienced hindsight in some way, shape, or form, whether that be like a painful event that you go through, a traumatic event that you perceive that you've gone through, and maybe a week, a month, 6 months, 12 months, 1 year, 2 years, 10 years later, something drops, the penny drops, the light bulb goes off, and you start to realize that whatever happened gave you so many benefits. It was like, I'm so grateful that happened. It was hard to go through, but I'm so grateful I went through it because it made me stronger. It made me wiser. It made me fitter. It made me smarter. It helped me develop my level of grit and my pain tolerance, whatever. It's made me more grateful, and it's given me a different perspective on life. We've all had those moments like that where it's kind of like a deja vu or a bit of a hindsight where it's like, holy shit, I'm so grateful that this happened, because without this, I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I have and that have served me in my life in this moment. So there's an example. So all hindsight this is probably the best way to think of it. This made the most amount of sense to me when I learned this, it's how the question becomes, how do you bring hindsight closer? It's to be conscious of the other side, either the positives or the negatives, depending which one you're not focusing on. It's be conscious of the other side faster. Because if you, for example, and I literally do this, I honestly wish I could, there's a device where it could like record your self-thoughts all day. That would, there's $1 billion idea for anyone out there who wants to start a business. But like, I do this literally as I go through my day to day. Now that I'm conscious of this and I've practiced this, I'm learning this. I'm not always perfect. I still make mistakes. I'm a human as well. But like, say for example, a bit of frustration popped up for me the other day. It's like, I was in a meeting, or I was about to go into a meeting. I had some information popped up that really, it frustrated me. It triggered frustration within me. So lucky enough, I guess because I'd put in the work, I was conscious enough to be, okay, I'm feeling triggered right now. First of all, let's breathe. Relax, calm down, relax the emotions. Okay, what's the benefits of being frustrated? Well, frustration means you're about to learn something. Frustration means if you don't give up, you're about to have a breakthrough. Frustration means you're becoming conscious of something that needs improvement or has the ability to be improved to make your life better. So without the frustration, I wouldn't be conscious of this opportunity to learn and to grow. And this sounds really weird. I'm sure what I just said then may not be the norm, but that's what starts to go through my head. And it's what I'm able to do with clients that I work with, is things that trigger them, things that are painful, things that people perceive as traumatic. If you start to really be conscious and turn on the lights and start to see the data and the information that you aren't seeing because you have a lopsided perspective, that's when things don't trigger you. Because imagine this. Picture a moment in your life that you right now, before this conversation, have been very triggered by it. It's very painful. It's very emotional for you to this day. Picture a moment like that. Now, I want you with me right now, if you want to be held accountable, is I want to ask you to answer these questions. What is the benefit of what's happened? What skills knowledge, experience, perspectives have you gained because of this situation that have served you since that day in your life to this day right now? How did it make you stronger? How did it make you wiser? What lessons did you learn? What skills did you develop? What tools did you develop because of this situation? And if you just keep answering those types of questions, this is beautiful. I'm not going to go into this too much today, but when you can really balance both sides out, it's like this. It's called enlightenment, but I'm not going to go into this topic today. But it's like when you hit that moment of enlightenment, because there's no such thing as reaching enlightenment. That's it, that you experience moments of it. You don't become a moment when you become fully enlightened, because then with that attitude, and by definition of having that attitude, you've then shut off to learning more bits of information, more things to grow, more things to learn. And it's a bit of an oblivious mindset, in my opinion anyway. So, but when you experience that moment, and you've probably experienced it, like in hindsight, or maybe something's happened and maybe you take a moment to really experience gratitude for what's happened, and you experience those benefits or the negatives to balance it out, and you get a bit of a watery eye. You get a tear of inspiration. That right there, that moment is called enlightenment. And the more conscious you can become of these moments, and the more conscious you can become of your emotions, and being able to ask those quality questions of, instead of, why the fuck is this always happening to me? Why is everyone fucking against me? Why am I such a shit person? Why am I so fat? Why am I so ugly? Why is this so shit? Who the fuck do you think you are? And you ask those types of questions, you're going to get those types of answers. So learning to control your inner dialogue, and learning to control your focus and the conscious questions you ask yourself to give you clarity and consciousness on information that you do or don't see, that shit is magic. Now, if you can see my screen, I didn't finish on this. I was going to finish on this. But if you can see the screen, if you're listening to me now, picture that same pendulum. But instead of having a really long string where that pendulum's swinging from, picture a really shorter piece of string. So the pendulum's a lot shorter than the first one. Now, everyone has ups and downs. It's impossible to... living in a fantasy where if you think you're always going to be positive, never be negative, always be nice, never be mean, that is a fantasy. Everyone experiences all characteristics, everyone experiences all traits, and everyone has ups and downs. So being able to be conscious of the downsides and the upsides, or both sides faster, allows you to not have those huge dramatic swings. Like, again, picture those people. You might have been there yourself as well, where you get super, super positive or super, super negative, and you have these really big swings, either highly positive or highly negative. You might last there for minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, or years, or decades. Some people take a long time to come out of those funks, or to come down from that cloud nine that they're living on, which is nice. But I would rather live life with a full perspective. I would rather live life where I can see both downsides and upsides and make a logical and emotional decision at the same time, combine my head and heart together. So the faster, like what we were saying with hindsight, the faster you can see the side that you're not seeing, the faster you'll be able to balance out, and therefore the less highly high emotional states and really low emotional states you'll experience. You'll still have highs and lows, but instead of having really big, drawn out, dramatic swings, you'll have these little corrections. And it's not about living in a world where you're monotoned and you don't express yourself. I don't believe in that. I believe when there's a time to express yourself in a positive and a negative emotion. I believe in that. But being able to be conscious of it so you don't let it affect you detrimentally in your business, in your relationship, in your personal life, in your social life, whatever life area of your life that you're wanting to work on, being able to just bring consciousness to yourself in the moments when you need to has completely changed my life. It's been able to allow me to work on my own stuff. When my own emotions pop up, I ask myself, where's this coming from? What are the benefits of this? What is this teaching me right now? What lessons can I learn right now? What skills and tools and experiences and perspectives is this going to give me to make my life better and stronger moving forward? And I start to be conscious of those questions because I understand there is no such thing as a negative without a positive, and there's no such thing as a positive without a negative. And I'm going to finish on that. So what I would love for you guys, if you wanted to get something out of this video with me today, is start to be conscious of your thoughts. Start to be conscious of the things that trigger you. Start to be conscious excuse me, of your emotions and how things affect you and what your mind experiences and things that get you really high or really low. Start to be conscious of that so you can start to see the other side by asking quality questions. So my challenge is for you, when the next emotional period pops up, which will probably be today or tomorrow, I guarantee you're going to have something that throws you off in the near future, is I want you to breathe first of all. Consciousness of breathing is key here. If you're highly emotional, the questions you ask will still help, but it's going to have lesser of effect. So please breathe. Calm yourself down. Slow the heart rate. Be centered. Be present. Then start to ask quality questions. What am I not seeing right now? How is this making my life better? What is this teaching me? What skills and knowledge and perspective have I not gained yet that I can learn from this to make me stronger in the future? Whatever questions you want to ask yourself to start to get you to see what the things that you do not see. I'm going to finish on that, guys. Thank you so much. Enjoy. Thank you so much for watching the presentation, guys. If you got some value from it, please like, comment, follow, subscribe wherever you're watching the video from. And guys, if you could share it with one person, that would be incredible, because if it's really helped you, you just don't know who could really benefit from the content that you just consumed. And if you would like further work with me or from me, I have plenty of courses, plenty of programs available online, and also the opportunity to be coached and mentored by myself as well. You'll be able to find all the information in my Instagram, in my bio, in my socials, or wherever, again, you've watched this video from. Have an awesome day. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.